humans are a problem-solving animal, and interstellar travel is a big, meaty problem. So, like any other problem, you need imagination to get there.
From Here to the Stars, a video series created by the Tennessee Valley Interstellar Workshop. The TVIW is a non-profit organization dedicated to thoroughly exploring the science and engineering that can eventually open up the reality of interstellar travel. I am your host, Stephen Euin Cobb. Our guest today is Toni Weisskopf. Toni Weiskopf is the publisher of Baen Books, one of the top science fiction publishing houses. She has worked with such authors as David Weber, David Drake, Eric Flint, John Ringo, Sarah A. Hoyt, Larry Correia, and many others. With Josepha Sherman, she compiled and annotated the definitive volume of subversive children's folklore, Greasy Grimy Gopher Guts. And she is a graduate of Oberlin College with a degree in anthropology. Here is Toni Weiskopf. So we will begin. Interviewing Toni Weiskopf, head of Baen Books,
Yes.
Very famous woman.
in certain circles, yes.
Yes. The TVIW, the Tennessee Valley Interstellar Workshop.
Yes.
You're associated with them.
I am, yeah. Les Johnson is one of my authors, and he brought me in for the second one when it started to look like it was going to be less of an informal meeting and more of a formal symposium and workshop. And Baen became sponsors at that point. And it's something that we're really happy to be associated with. It is all about making science fiction reality. It's taking hard science ideas and communicating them to the public, and disseminating them and stimulating our science fiction writers, which is why I'm really happy to send a few writers every year to the workshop, so that they can talk to scientists and engineers and biologists and space lawyers and get interesting story ideas.
Yeah, it helps inform their work and can, vice versa, help inspire scientists. In fact, inspiration is one of the questions that I want to ask you. What part do you think inspiration will play in the ultimate, dissemination of humans throughout the universe?
Well, I mean, humans are a problem-solving animal, and interstellar travel is a big, meaty problem. So, like any other problem, you need imagination to get there. And there's this lovely feedback loop between science fiction writers and scientists and engineers and readers, where science fiction people play with ideas to let us see where we want to go and where we don't want to go, and run the thought experiments and play out the ethical dilemmas before we actually have the technology in place. And this is part of what the TVIW does. And I have talked to many scientists and engineers, and by no means all of them were inspired by science fiction as youths, but many of them were. And so part of what science fiction does is help them tell us where we want to go, what we want to have. And part of what they do is let science fiction writers know what we can have, and what the universe is really like. And you get this lovely symbiotic relationship between people who are professional scientists and people who are professional writers and people who are both and people who dabble in both, and it's really stimulating.
The ethical dilemma, so to speak, though, a friend of mine, whose name I won't mention, he's an author, his concern is that we will spread our biology, say, to even over bacterial in inhabited planets. And if you have an Earth-like planet, that means it has oxygen in its atmosphere, which most likely, because this is the case of the Earth, it was formed by bacteria in its early days.
Right.
And if we go to that and colonize that planet or inhabit that planet, then we might be overwriting its biology.
Indeed. Anything leaves an impact on the universe, right? Atoms do.
Yes.
Quarks do. Massless particles do.
I have no problem myself with overwriting bacterial life.
Well, it is, it's the Star Trek question, right? It's the prime directive. And I think people who have an ethical problem with this don't have a true appreciation of scale. They don't have a deep appreciation of deep time. They don't have an appreciation of distance, and they don't understand how very, very large universe it is that we live in.
Yeah.
I have no problem applying the Hippocratic Oath, do no harm, but I also don't have a problem with humanity's destiny in space. I think that if we want to survive, then we will need to go out to space. We will need to take other planets. We will need to make them our own. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think that life is a good thing. And if you proceed from that one basic concept, life is a good thing, and human life is a good thing, then all the others flow from that. So, but yes, it is something that does need to be talked about.
The current state of humanity is that we do not have really any infrastructure in the greater universe. I mean, the greater solar system, just our own solar system. What's your vision for that?
Well, I think at this point, with the physics and engineering that we have now, like I said, it's a very, very tough problem. But the more humans you get, the more you have people attacking the problem. You have more people you have thinking about this problem. The more creative solutions you find to these problems. So I don't have a firm timeline for how long it will take us to get to the next star system. Whether it be, I think the first mission is going to be mechanical. I don't think we're going to send humans first, but that's an interesting thing in itself. I think that I don't think that it's inevitable. Okay, I do think that we have the capability to turn inward and turn back, and that it is a decision point for humanity. So that's one of the reasons why I do want more people talking about this issue, and more people answering the question, well, why should we go to another star system? So I hope we do.
Okay. Do you expect the answer to become, grow organically out of building out infrastructure in, say, the moon and the asteroids and the
I do. I think it's a stepping stone kind of thing. I don't think that you're going from a one planet civilization to a 2-star civilization.
Okay.
I think we are going to get infrastructure in your space. I mean, we do have infrastructure. We have a lot of space garbage. We got quadzillion satellites at this point circling the Earth, and we're getting more and more and more, which is all very interesting. But it's its own problem, right?
Yeah.
But yes, I think getting out to the nearer intra-system bodies we're going to learn a lot from that. We're going to learn a lot from going back to the moon. We're going to learn a lot from going to Mars, and we're going to learn a lot from sending people out. We're going to learn about propulsion systems. We're going to learn a lot about radiation shielding. We're going to learn a lot about what the problems are before we take. We got to take the baby steps before we take the giant step, and it is a giant step. The sizes are huge.
Yes, they are. Disappointingly, perhaps huge.
That's what makes it a fun problem.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
What about the Fermi Paradox? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts are we have one data point, right?
That's true.
Everything beyond that is speculation. We just don't. We don't know enough to be able to have any kind of hard data on this. We just don't know. Everything beyond us is speculation at this point. Ancient aliens aside. So until we get that second data point, you can talk. It's fun talking about, but it could be anything. I mean, it literally could be anything. It could be a Campbellian universe. We could be the only people like us.
That's a scary thought.
It is a scary thought. It could be, and Les Johnson actually did a very interesting article on the Fermi Paradox for Baen.com a few years back, which you can get on the Baen Free Library at www.baen.com.
Okay.
So my answer is we don't know. And there are people in the SETI community and elsewhere who want to send signals out and say, say, hey, this is where we are, come find us. And I am happy that they are that optimistic about what kinds of things that we may encounter. I am less optimistic.
Okay. Speaking of optimism, faster than light drive, what are your thoughts on even maybe just, I don't know, what could you call it, of hope, of faith? Because there's no evidence that it's even possible in this universe.
Well, there are little hints here and there. Yeah, it is. I think it's going to take a physics breakthrough to get to, if not a true FTL, then a way around FTL, right? We don't fully understand our universe, so we don't fully understand how to manipulate it yet. Of course, this is the envelope in which my authors work, right?
Yes.
Between what we don't know for sure and what might be possible.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't rule it out entirely. It would certainly help getting meat sacks out to distant places, but it may not be the only way to do that.
If we have to go at slower than light speeds, which we expect,
Right.
What kind of timeline are you thinking? I mean, is it like 500 years?
No, I think I think it's closer than that. Again, we just published a book of fiction and nonfiction about what it would take to get to a interstellar kind of humanity. The book is called Stellaris. It's edited by Les Johnson and Rob Hampson. Les is a space scientist, and Rob is a research neurologist. So he's interested not only in the meaty physics problem, but also the interesting biological problem. Again, we were talking about radiation shielding. And if you are talking about hundreds of years of transit time, you're talking about a generation ship. And this is something that science fiction has been playing around for a long time. Heinlein, of course. Jim Hogan has played with it. Other people have too. And that's an interesting question. How do you make a generation ship work?
The psychological problems alone.
Psychological, sociological, historical, political, the farming, all these kinds of things are to be considered, and a lot of them are addressed in Stellaris. So, but yeah, we don't have an answer to that yet, and there may not be an answer. The answer may be we send out a lot of different kinds of ships and we see what works, and that's okay too.
Okay. Why do you believe that telescopes are not enough?
Why do I believe that telescopes are not enough? That's fun. Because my dad's an astrophysicist, and my dad's was the project scientist for Chandra, which is a space telescope, an X-ray space telescope, and he's working on the next generations of X-ray space telescopes, in fact, for NASA.
Okay.
So I think telescopes are awesome, and I love them, and they answer all kinds of questions, and they raise all kinds of questions with the data that they bring in. Chandra's still bringing in data, in fact. We'll plug for Chandra. So seeing things is good. I mean, I like seeing my friends' vacation pictures. I really do. I enjoy that. It is not the same as seeing that sunset yourself.
Yeah.
So the explorer in me wants to see what's over the next hill, personally. The pessimist in me says, I am very uncomfortable with having all of humanity's eggs in one basket. We know that we live in an active universe. We know that there are solar flares. We know that there are rocks that hit the Earth. We know that all kinds of exciting things happen to planets. We look at our other solar system planets and go, bad things happened there. Aren't we lucky that it hasn't happened here? And then we look at our planet and we go, well, can and have. And again, if you operate from that basic principle, human life is worth saving, then you want to save it. So actually getting humans in one way or another to other planets and other solar systems with less active solar flares, or at least differently timed solar flares, or whatever kind of disaster is going to happen in that other solar system, seems to me a good bet. So
would you be willing to go?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to dibble on that one.
No. I would.
Okay. For sure. Yeah, I'm afraid of heights, so I'm.
Oh yeah, no, me too.
So I'm. It's like, would you want to go to the moon? It's like you got to get up really high on top of that rocket to get.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking we're discovering how important sunlight is to human happiness, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't sleep well because we're inside all the time, and we never get any sunlight, and we don't have vitamin D. I think our rockets are going to be clear. I think there's going to be windows on rockets.
I was really surprised by all this recent information that indicates that zero-G is not so healthy for people.
Oh yeah,
it's astounding.
Well, we are again a meat sack, right? Mm-hmm. We are a system of ductwork.
Yeah.
Ducts need gravity.
Yeah.
Fluid must flow.
A buddy of mine, he says, if you don't like gravity, he says, try sifting flour without it.
Yeah, exactly. And the human body is not designed to work without gravity. It's very, very difficult. So artificial gravity is going to be another one of those interesting technological problems that we must solve. Mm-hmm. And it may be that we just take our gravity with us, right? Mm-hmm. That moving giant asteroids that have, or the moon or something like, something really, really big mm-hmm. may be the way that we can do it and survive.
Yeah, Larry Newman wrote about that.
Right.
Yeah.
Or it may be going very, very small, right? Mm-hmm. Then we send genetic matter. And
that's another possibility.
Yeah.
There are many possibilities.
There are, and it's fun playing with them, and it's fun doing these thought experiments before we actually do it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Before I let you go, is there anything that you'd like to mention or emphasize that I hadn't thought to ask you about?
Well, just the TVIW it's not just for scientists. That's what makes it different from other scientific meetings, is that it really is about communicating these ideas mm-hmm. To communicators, to teachers, mm-hmm. to journalists, to science fiction writers, to technical writers, and having their input as well. Because sometimes we can get too narrow, mm-hmm. and we can get very focused in our narrow fields. And part of the fun of the TBIW is mixing in all of these different kinds of thinkers, mm-hmm. And it's been fascinating. It's a fascinating process.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for taking the time for the interview.
Excellent. Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah, excellent. That was Toni Weisskopf. I have been your host, Stephen Euin Cobb. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button, and you can subscribe to our channel for more such videos. On behalf of all of us here at the Tennessee Valley Interstellar Workshop, I thank you.